All right, guys, what's going on? It's your host, Industrial Dave. Welcome to 6 to 6. So, this one is going to be more on a personal level. Um, I had someone ask me, hey, do a video on everywhere you worked. And I'm like, what? It's just so random, guys. So, I'm going to try my best to tell you that just for giggles. It's going to be very quick. So, I have worked in Los Angeles BP refinery multiple times. I'm gonna try to start on the West Coast. I'm looking at a map right here. I've done Tracy, California. I've done what's the name of the Golden Eagle refinery? San Martinez in California. If we go up to Washington State, I've done, what is the name of that city? It's way up there. Port Townsend. Paper mill in Port Townsend. I have never worked. Yeah, I did. I worked in Vegas for like a couple of days. Um, Never worked in Oregon. I have never worked in Idaho. Never worked in Utah. Arizona. Never worked in Arizona. Never worked in Montana. Wyoming. Never worked. Colorado. Never worked in Mexico. No. North Dakota. Yes, there's a refinery. There's a Marathon refinery somewhere in North Dakota. If we skip back west, I've worked in Alberta. I've worked at Fort Saskatchewan Shell in Edmonton, and I've worked at Suncor Refinery in Fort Mac. I've worked at ConocoPhillips in Fort Mac. Now, if we go down back to Texas in Houston, I've worked at Lawndale facility. In Oklahoma, I've worked at a glass plant in Okmulgee. I've worked at Tulsa International Airport for American Airlines. We go up north to Kansas. Oh man, my old stomping grounds. What's the name of that city? Lawrence. There's a power plant in Lawrence, Kansas. I think it's a Westar. Westar Energy Station in Lawrence, Kansas. I've worked in St. Mary's, Kansas. There's three giant coal fire units. I might be missing somewhere else in Kansas. Nebraska. Have I worked in Nebraska? Oh yeah, there's a coal fire in Omaha. Yep, there's a coal fire in Omaha, right on the border. It's a bordered city. I cannot think of the name of that power plant. I have never worked in South Dakota. In Minnesota, I've worked at, there's a refinery. No, there's a trash burner right behind the Twin Stadium in not St. Paul, the Minneapolis. There's a trash burner right behind the stadium. Downtown Iowa. I've never worked in Iowa. Missouri. I've worked at I-10 coal-fired power plant out there. I've worked at Hawthorne Generating Station. Actually, it's Hawthorne might be in Kansas or Missouri. I don't know. Um, where else in Missouri? Let's go down to Arkansas. Where have I worked in Arkansas? Oh, I've worked at A&O Nuclear Station in Arkansas. I took a well test in Louisiana, failed it. Me and my partner drove all the way from Florida to Louisiana and failed the well test. Listen, people tell you they didn't fail a well test, they lying. Just welders are cocky about that. Whatever. So let's go up to Wisconsin. Wisconsin, I worked at Portage, Wisconsin. Oh my God, it was so cold. That's the coldest I've ever been. I worked in Portage, Wisconsin. Illinois, I have worked at U.S. Steel on the Indiana side. There's a U.S. Steel facility out there. I've worked at Braidwood Generating Station. That's a nuclear plant. If you go down to Southern Illinois, I worked at Lively Grove Generating Station. It's right outside of St. Louis, maybe about 60 or 70 miles kind of east, I think, of St. Louis. And I lived out there. I lived in St. Louis for, I hate when it does that. I lived in St. Louis for about 2 years or so. Tennessee. Have I ever worked in Tennessee? I don't think I've worked in Tennessee. Yeah, I have. I worked Watts Bar. Yep, Watts Bar Nuclear Generating Station. I can't think of where. It's not in Nashville. I don't know where it's at, but Watts Bar Nuclear Generating Station in Tennessee. Mississippi, yep, down south of Mississippi, there is a Huntington Ingalls in Pascagoula, and there's also a Chevron there. I never worked at the Chevron at in that state. I've worked at Chevron in the Bay Area in San Ramon, but I did work at Pascagoula shipyard. Alabama. Have I worked in Alabama? Technically, I have. I worked in Alabama for 3 hours. I was in line to take a drug test waiting, and a company that I have been trying to work for over, I think at the time, maybe about a year or so, called me while I was in line, and I literally just snuck up out of there and left. So technically, I have worked in Alabama. If we go up north to Kentucky, yep, Paducah. TVA. I can't think of the name. It might be called Paducah Generating Station. I don't know. But TVA has a coal fire plant in Paducah. I worked there. Um, Bowling Green. Oh man, there's another power plant over there. I can't think of it. Ohio. I have never worked in Ohio. Nope. Michigan. Oh, yep. I worked at a steel mill in Dearborn, Michigan. I can't think of the name of the steel mill itself, but it's in Dearborn. That is the most. Oh, that is the most ghetto place I have ever seen. That is the first time I saw a bulletproof subway was in Detroit. Detroit's that place is dangerous, y'all. But I'm looking at the map. West Virginia. Never worked in West Virginia. If we go on down, this is where the states get small. Georgia, blah, 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 wherever worked in Georgia. There is a small HRSG outside of Atlanta. I can't think of the name of it, but I definitely worked there. Where else in Georgia? Oh, in Augusta. What is the name of that? Jeez, I'm drawing a blank. The nuclear plant. Plant Vogel. I was there for a small little time. I was taking a lot of well tests, and then I ended up getting a call to go to another job. So I didn't stay in Georgia too long, but I did work there. I have never worked in Florida. Florida is, if you guys haven't know, I try to avoid the South. Working in the union, guys, I got more videos about that. But generally, the South, when it comes to union, does not have the best wages. So I try to avoid that. Now, I know I'm looking off camera, but I'm looking at the map, guys. Have not worked in Florida. But South Carolina, I took a well test. Funny story. Actually, the Georgia job at the nuke, I was there for the nuke. I ended up having to file grievance. They were supposed to keep me for processing for the background, but it was taking so long, so they basically told me to go home without pay, and I was supposed to be getting paid for that. So in the meantime, applied for another job, shot to South Carolina, took the well test, and I ended up working overseas in Qatar. That even came out even better. I ended up doing some safety over there too. So I have been to South Carolina, took a well test for Fluor. I can't think of the name of that city though. I was close to Rock Hill or something. I don't remember. North Carolina, I have never. Well, technically, yeah. Technically, I have worked in North Carolina. The company that I work for now, I do safety, even though it is northern North Carolina. I technically have worked there. So I worked in North Carolina in Elizabeth City, Virginia. I have worked in Hampton Roads. Obviously, that's where I live now, but I have worked there. Let's move up to Maryland. Maryland, where have I worked at? I've never worked in DC. I've worked on the Eastern Shore of Maryland. Waldorf. I built a power plant in Waldorf back in, I don't know, 2015 or something like that or whatever, but I was there for about 2.5 months. Ocean City, Maryland. There's a coal fire plant there. Indian River is somewhere around there, Ocean City. So I have worked there. Here we go up to old nasty ass Delaware. Yep, I have worked at Delaware. There is a oil refinery that pays really well. Delaware City Refinery. I have worked there. Let's go up to PA. I haven't worked Pittsburgh? Oh yeah, Pennsylvania. There is a refinery more towards the Philadelphia area. If you guys know, Pennsylvania is kind of funny looking when it gets east. But in Pennsylvania, I have worked in Marcus Hook Oil Refinery. It's right next to Delaware. Made a lot of money there. So we did Delaware, PA. This place is so tiny. Everything is running together. Jersey. Where have I worked in Jersey? Bayway Oil Refinery. It's a Conoco. No, it's a P66. It's a P66, and I think it's P6, either P6 or whatever. It's in Linden, New Jersey. I've worked there multiple times, made a lot of money. And New York, I worked in Middletown. I was there for 6 months. Built a cogen. I was there, made really really good money. Oh my god, that was a good job. Never been in a blizzard before until I went up there. I was in a crazy blizzard. That was insane. I've never seen that. I have never worked in Alaska, never worked in Hawaii. Now, guys, these are just places that I've worked. I have been, on vacation and stuff like that to other places like Hawaii or whatever. But I have never worked past New England. I've never been to New England, any of that. So I worked upstate New York. I never worked in the boroughs, but yeah, the rest, Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, all that, never did it. And again, guys, these are just places that I'm coming off the top of my head. A lot of these jobs that I have worked, I've worked in the States several times. So this is just an idea of what I have done when it comes to safety and welding and stuff like that. I hope you guys enjoyed my little charade on these places that I have worked. So again, guys, you wanted it, you got it. I'm Industrial Dave. Welcome to 6 to 6, guys.